Remember the tree of revolution we showed you before? This is how it started. You got Che and Saul Alinsky and the progressives at the very beginning. And they wanted to change everything. Well, nothing was happening. So in the 60s, SDS started in. SDS, Students for a Democratic Society. Well, this had all of the radicals. This had everybody down here. It had these guys, all of these guys, down here. Well, it wasn't working in the 60s. The radicals wanted to overthrow capitalism and have a revolution back in the 1960s. One side was violent. They finally just went nuts. The Weather Underground. One side didn't, because they listened to their professors, Cloward and Piven. They decided to go nonviolent. That was a better answer, deciding instead that they could bring around revolutionary change through collapsing America's economic system. Well, how could that ever be achieved? Well, by getting everybody on welfare, as many people out of work and on the government dole. It's a philosophy that we're now seeing with the unsustainable debt and overspending. You notice on the tree of revolution that there is no bridge. There's no bridge here. There's nothing that separates the violent from the nonviolent. The same trunk leads to both. You have it? These guys are just waiting. If this doesn't work, do they kick in? Now listen to the latest audio discovered of Frances Fox Piven and her views on violence. Because remember, violence isn't the answer. Here she is.
You know, it's a violent country.
That's us.
It's a violent government. It's killing people. And they're going to call us violent if we break a window. But they will do that. So probably, unless you have good reason for breaking the window, probably you shouldn't do that. Unless it's, you know, a big part of your strategy.
Unless it's a big part. So unless you're cracking skulls, I mean, if you're cracking skulls for skull-cracking's sake, well then no. No. She says earlier in this clip, you can find it at theblaze.com, she says earlier in this clip that, you know, hey, she doesn't have a problem with nonviolence. It's unbelievable. And she says if it's a bigger part of your strategy, so if you're cracking skulls because you're a numbskull, that's a problem. But if you're cracking skulls as part of a bigger strategy, well then apparently Okay, thank you, Francis. America, you're being nudged, and we've just been shown another example this week of nudging with Michelle Obama. It starts with carrots and French fries over apples, and then it moves into butter, and soon it becomes a shove. Because if you won't do the right thing when you're being gently prodded, they, of course, they'll have to become a little forceful. It's for your own good. There's more. We're not to the fry-its yet. Now, the nudge I've been telling you about is fundamental transformation. This is the whole enchilada. Ooh, I hope they don't take those away. Do you remember what Michelle Obama told us during the campaign?
Barack will never allow you to go back to your lives as usual. Uninvolved, uninformed.
Okay, we're being pushed into a different place. For her part, Frances Fox Piven claims that nothing could be further from her mind. She and her husband, who's now deceased, simply thought when they wrote The Weight of the Poor, a strategy to end poverty in 1966, that the New York City Welfare Department was turning too many eligible people away. So they believed that there was a good chance if there was a welfare crisis, the cities would prompt the Democratic administration to just intervene and just give those things that they've already promised and federalize the program to relieve the fiscal pressures and improving it just to satisfy the minority poor. That sounds harmless, but unfortunately we have their own words. In their own article, Cloward and Piven wrote, quote, "The ultimate objective is this strategy, to wipe out poverty by establishing a guaranteed annual income." This is communism. They write, it will be questioned by some because the ideal of individual social and economic mobility, individual economic mobility, in other words, your right to pursue happiness, has deep roots. Even activists seem reluctant to call for national programs to eliminate poverty by the outright redistribution of income. It continued, quote, "Many of today's poor cannot secure a redistribution of income by organizing within the institution of private enterprise. A federal program of income redistribution has become necessary to elevate the poor en masse from poverty. In order to generate a crisis, the poor must obtain benefits which they have forfeited." So, I apologize. They're just innocently trying to generate a crisis to create a system whereby they could secure redistribution of income. And I misunderstood. The radicals in and around our government are serious about transforming America, but they don't appreciate being exposed for it. Oh, they're not going to appreciate the next couple of minutes. We'll shine that little disinfecting sunlight on them next. Tonight our goal has been to go from French fries to riots. You didn't think I could get there. We're running out of time. French fries to riots. We've been talking about being nudged. Nudged. You're now being nudged in your restaurants, nudged in your health care. And the real nudge is towards global governance. I have shown you that violence is a part of the overall strategy, which is what Frances Fox Piven said she didn't have a problem with. Violence as long as it was part of an overall strategy. The problems we're facing right now are global in nature. It is happening in Europe, and it is happening in here. We have shown you the pictures of Greece on fire. The unions over in Greece, the communists over in Greece, and the anarchists are taking it to the streets, and they are uniting as one. Well, now the unions in the UK have also posted to get out in the streets. Here in America, you've seen SEIU and over 200 progressive organizations planning a march on October 2nd, 2010. I believe that will be peaceful. But what happens to this coalition a year from now when the cuts take place? The Democratic Party you see today and may even belong to is not the Democratic Party of your parents' generation. The Democrats have allowed themselves to be infected with the tree of revolution. These people, Acorn, SDS, Bill Ayers, Andy Stern, Frances Fox Piven, these people are a danger to the Republic. They are radicals who are seeking to split from the views and the ideas of our founding father and our Constitution. In an interview with PBS about the Socialist Scholars Conference, Frances Fox Piven was asked, "What does socialism mean to you? What is its future?" Here's her answer, quote, "Socialism is a broad tradition and has many, many meanings. So if you were asked to ask me what is the core values in this tradition, the values of equality and fraternity and democracy. Oh, yeah. I would say that tradition has a future. It's the only future that is possible. America, you again have a choice. I asked you at the beginning. I told you you're going to have to make a choice. Here it is. Do you believe that socialism is the only future that is possible?" And by the way, you may not think that that anybody has ever heard of Frances Fox Piven and her husband. You've never heard of them, right? Oh, they've been around for a very long time, and they've got an awful lot of power. Here she is with her husband and President Bill Clinton. Clinton invited them for the signing of the 1993 motor voter bill, which is weird because that's an Acorn and SEIU, and boy, they all love that. Anyway, I want you to know I have nothing against Frances Fox Piven. I'm sure she's a wonderful lady. I bring you this news to help you make sense of the incomprehensible things our government is doing. They don't make sense without all of this information. I happen to believe that you are seeing the fundamental transformation of America, and people are seeking it. Americans should know what that means. You have to understand the consequences. I also believe that those who seek that transformation should do so out in the open, with a full view of the American people. What are you afraid of, lefties? Are you everything I say you are? Let the American people have the debate. Let the people decide what future is possible for America. Or is it that only you can decide? The government is the answer because the people are Homer Simpson. And you just know they'll make the wrong answer, the one that doesn't agree with you. Final thoughts in a second. Well, imagine my surprise when I got my subscription delivered. Does it come in the mail? And I look at the cover and I'm like, oh, Dolly in love with this woman. A cheating bombshell. America's Got Talent. Is her voice fake? Glenn Beck's sex tape scandal and the mystery woman behind it. Ooh. I had to read it. Prepare yourself. It's me in green lighting. No. Glenn Beck's sex tape shocker. Michelle Obama behind the savage attempt to ruin the president's number one enemy. Yes. Somewhere in here, too, a man had an alien baby. But you can believe this story. Sure. The sources are saying that Michelle Obama feels that Beck will stop at nothing to counter her husband's policies, and there is a belief that she has to fight fire with fire. So, Michelle, I don't believe that. And the Globe. I mean, if you were trying to get people to buy, I don't even know what it would be. Would it be? I mean, this is you know what this is? This is digital Icapac. This is like, if you want to make people throw up, you do a Glenn Beck sex tape. Not good. Not good. We'll see you tomorrow from New York. Good night, America.